Good morning. Happy Friday. Merry Christmas. Welcome to From the Nosebleeds. I'm Joey Gunnar here today, joined by James Merlad. James, how you doing? Merry Christmas.
I'm great, man. Merry Christmas. Hope you had a good holiday. And now we turn the page to the next one, right? It's time to start thinking about New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. But no, it was a great Christmas. And if you're a Denver sports fan, it could not have gone better.
Could not have gone better at all. You got two wins, one from the Broncos, one from the Nuggets. We're going to be talking about them both today. That Broncos win, though, was huge. Of course, not the prettiest win. That's something that we've gotten used to this season with the Broncos pulling out these wins late in the game. They did it again, but they also did something that they haven't done in 10 seasons, and that's sweeping the Chiefs. They have put their stamp on the AFC West. Of course, it's not closed out quite yet. We'll have to wait until Saturday to see, until it'll come down to that last game between the Chargers and the Broncos. But what a huge win over the Chiefs, really putting their name there at Arrowhead Field. And it is big. I mean, it's huge. Can we ask for a better Christmas? There are, of course, issues that we're going to have to talk about here with the defense and the way that the Broncos played yesterday, but wins are wins. And at this point in the season, beating the Chiefs when they're down and out, when they're injured, you need to capitalize. And they did that, especially after coming after that loss against the Jaguars. Big. Yeah. What were the issues? I know you were probably seeing some of them.
Yeah, I mean, Monday and Tuesday, people were talking about, oh, you got to win with some style points. And, it's amazing to me how people forget that it's the NFL, right? And the guys on the other side are getting paid too. They're not taking the game off just because they're out of it. They've got to put some good performances on tape, and they're playing for next year's job and all those kind of things. So you're going to get an effort from the Chiefs. They're just not going to lay down. It's not college football. And then they had a good game plan, right? Like Steve Spagnuolo was like, hey, we're going to play zone. We're going to make you go, 14 plays and drive down the field and burn 8 minutes off the clock. And then we're going to try and hold you to field goals, which is what they did in the second half. They make one play on the interception and the Chiefs are ahead. So it was a good game plan, kind of, trying to shorten the game by making the Broncos go long drives, having the Chiefs run the ball, burn the clock. I mean, made for a boring game, but you looked up and we were 2 hours like on the clock, actual clock, 2 hours into the game, and it was almost over. That's how well the Chiefs executed that game plan. But you just had to escape with the win. Didn't matter. It's a short week. You got to travel. It's Christmas night. Escape with the win. They did that. But I have two big concerns. I think the defense is one of them, and it's the lack of pass rush. You got a quarterback back there making his first start. You sacked him one time. Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, Jonathan Cooper have just been MIA. In the last 3 games, Nick Bonito doesn't have a sack. In the last 6 games, Zach Allen has a half sack. In the last 6 games, Jonathan Cooper has a half sack. That's your 3 best pass rushers. That's what makes this defense, quote unquote, special. And they've just disappeared. So that's a concern. And then the Broncos have to finish drives. And when they get in the red zone, they have to get it in the end zone. You're not going to win playoff games kicking short field goals. You can kick 52-yarders. Where the drive stalls out at the 35, and hey, we got points. We were happy to get points, but you're not going to beat anybody good kicking a 27-yard field goal and a 30-yard field goal. You get that close, you got to punch it in the end zone. So those are my 2 big issues that now they have 10 days to solve because they got the mini bye week, and I think it sets up perfectly for them.
Yeah, and punching in an end zone, of course, that's how they ended up winning the game with that play action pass to RJ Harvey. But the run game, I think, is another facet of that. You're in the red zone. You have to have somebody who's a ground and pound carrier who you can just give the ball to, and you're guaranteed 3-4 yards, somewhere that keeps you ahead of schedule so that you can continue to build these drives and finish them in the red zone. Do you think that, we saw yesterday the rushing attack was not working well with anybody outside of Bo Nix, who is running well. That's something that he hasn't done very much this season, is these big running gains. RJ Harvey was nowhere to be found, really. He, of course, the fantasy player or fantasy users loved him. He's a fantasy merchant, but when you're actually watching him play, did he do anything that was special? Was it good enough to be secure in the run game going into the playoffs? We're looking at a guy who's averaging, either big gains or small 1-yard gains, and it's averaging out, and it did not look good yesterday. He didn't have one of those big gains where, it messes with his stats. Is that something you can feel confident in moving forward, or are we still here sitting about how the Broncos don't have a true running back one?
No, I don't feel confident in it, and they don't have a true number back one. I mean, once J.K. Dobbins went down, to me it was okay. How do you patch that hole? And they've tried to do it with a rookie. And R.J. Harvey has his moments, but clearly they're not confident in him because Sean Payton doesn't consistently give him the football. And Jaleel had a couple of moments yesterday, but he's just too small. I don't trust him on a down in, down out basis. So they just don't have a guy. It's not Bidet. It's not McLaughlin. Harvey's their best option, but they're going to win games with Bo Nix throwing the ball and Bo Nix running the ball. That's just the reality. And are you going to get away with that forever? Nope, you're not. But when your quarterback's only in his second year and he's young, you can do it. The Bills did it for a long time with Josh Allen. I'm not saying Bo Nix is as good a runner as Josh Allen, but at some point you got to get your James Cook behind the quarterback. But you can win some games playing the way they're playing. Given the fact that they couldn't run the ball, though, Joey, and to me, this was the most fascinating part of the game. It's tied at 13. The Broncos are like at the 9-yard line. It's 4th and 2 with 2 minutes to go. The smart play there is to kick the field goal, right? Kick the field goal, take the lead, rely on your defense, and make a guy that nobody's ever heard of drive down the field and try and get the game-tying field goal. And Sean Payton in that situation trusted his offense more than he trusted his defense. Now, he turned out to be right? The Broncos got the penalty, got the first down, they get into the end zone, take a 7-point lead, and then the Chiefs drive right down the field. They would have been in field goal range. They would have been able to kick the game-tying field goal. So at this point in the season, week 17, in that situation, Sean Payton trusted his offense more than he trusted his defense. I think that's a pretty fascinating little nugget from the game that a lot of people are overlooking.
Do you think there was ever any intention to snap that ball, though? I mean, with R.J. Harvey in the Wildcat formation, Bo Nix lined up to the right. I mean, was there ever any intention to actually snap that ball, or were they just going to draw him offside? It's so crazy that they actually got Chris Jones to jump off sides. I mean, this is one of the best defensive tackles in the league, and they faked him out. Were we going to see a weird play call that, we might be talking about that as a great idea that Sean Payton had, but if that goes the other way, we could be looking at one of the weirdest and dumbest decisions ever. You got R.J. Harvey back there, Wildcat, looking like out in Cleveland when they had Shedeur Sanders step off the field for the 2-point conversion. That would be insane.
Yeah, no, it would have been a gutsy call. There's probably a better word for it, but we'll go with gutsy. I don't know if they were going to snap the ball. I don't. Maybe they were just going to come out there and it's like, hey, if we take a 5-yard penalty, no big deal. It's still a chip shot field goal. It basically turns into the same distance as an extra point if you take the 5-yard penalty. But it certainly looked like they were going to run a play. And had you got it, okay, he's a genius. Had they got stuffed and it's 13-13, the Chiefs go down and kick a game-winning field goal and you lose that game, I think that would have been one of the dumbest decisions of all time. But either way, he trusted his offense to go out there and execute the fake and draw them off sides. And clearly he didn't have, foolproof faith in his defense because the textbook, thing to do off the chart is to go out there and just kick the field goal, take the easy points and rely on your defense. And they didn't. The other part of this that I think gets overlooked, and yeah, it wasn't pretty, but the Broncos dominated that game. Time of possession was 2-1. Heading into the last drive, the Chiefs didn't even have 100 yards of offense. Kansas City did nothing. They got the impressive, pick, but it was a little bit of a fluky play. They got a couple of calls. They didn't have a penalty in the game until Chris Jones jumped off sides on the play we were just talking about, which, I'm not saying it's rigged, but is it, hey, let's just make sure that we give the Chiefs every advantage, every opportunity to stay in this game and keep it interesting since it's Christmas night and the whole country's watching. For sure. There's no way that a team playing that many new guys didn't commit a single penalty prior to the 2-minute warning. But hey, the Broncos, did what they had to do and they escaped, but they really did dominate the game. Let's not, if you look at the numbers, it wasn't close.
Yeah. And maybe, box score watching, that's not the way to do it. You got to watch the entire game, and they played well. The Broncos overall, they didn't play at their best, but they did dominate the Chiefs on all different levels of the game. But pivoting and looking forward, we talked about, how the Broncos lost to the Jaguars. They beat the Chiefs. We're talking about this 3-game stretch last week where it's going to be a tough 3-game stretch, one of the hardest, if not the hardest of the season. You're going in, you're coming home actually next week to play the Chargers in the final game of the year. That is the game that means everything. The Broncos, we've been talking about all season. They control their own destiny, and it's coming down to that last game. This Chargers game, am I crazy to say that this is more important than a wild card game? This is as important as it gets.
Yeah, because if you win the game, you don't even have to worry about the wild card round. You're automatically in the division round. You're 2 home wins away from the Super Bowl.
I guess, yeah, that's a simple way to put it. I'm just trying to, it's right there. You have the opportunity to go out and win a wild card game before you even have to step on the field.
Correct.
So that is huge. The Broncos now have this mini bye. They got a 10-day rest. What a game we're going to have to watch here next Sunday. I can't wait to see it. I'm super excited. We're going to be, of course, talking about that all next week, but I do want to pivot a little bit and talk about the other Denver team that played probably the most exciting game I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't think I've ever seen a more exciting basketball game than that Nuggets-Timberwolves game. Nuggets coming into this game with 3 of their starters missing. Cam Johnson goes down in that Mavericks game last week when we'll be reevaluated with a right knee hyperextension in 4 to 6 weeks. Everything's looking bad for the Nuggets. And then Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray have one of their best tandem performances, right up there with the 30-point triple-doubles that they put up in the finals in 2023. This will be the game that I think you can look back on in 20 years and say that is what the Nikola Jokic era was. 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 15 assists. Is this Nikola Jokic's best game ever?
It's one of the greatest games by any player ever. I mean, it's just remarkable. And that's just the start of it. I mean, the Nuggets go out there and they have this gutty effort, right? And it's an exciting game. And then Ant hits a 3 to force overtime basically at the buzzer. And you're like, oh my God, that's going to be the dagger, right? Like the Nuggets had the game, but they're shorthanded. And now they got to play an extra period. And it's just, it's going to fall apart. And he goes out and has 18 points, an NBA record in overtime. Like if it had finished in regulation, if Ant misses that shot, it's still a great game. It's still a great performance. It's still a thriller. And then you add that on top of it. I mean, it literally is the definition of a guy carrying his team. And, Jamal was great, but the fact that he's got 56 points and 15 assists, like he's contributing on 80 some points, 90 points. Like that's just carrying your team. It was a remarkable performance. It was a great way to end Christmas. I guess if you were on the East Coast, it was a great way to start December 26th. That's one of the bummers of this is, more than half the country probably didn't see it. But no, man, we're running out of superlatives when it comes to Nikola Jokic. Anybody who doesn't think he's the best player in the world doesn't understand basketball. If he's not the MVP, it's that they ought to just take the award and throw it in a river somewhere. Yeah. That was just a remarkable performance from a guy who gives it to us so often that we take it for granted. And it has to be remarkable, like last night, where it's 56, 16, and 15, for us to even start throwing around superlatives again. When in reality, almost every game he does stuff that is out of this world for most players. But yeah, last night was special, and it was a little cherry on top for the Christmas folks here in Denver.
Oh, 100%. And you're the overtime, when Anthony Edwards hit that 3, you go into overtime, you're like, okay, it's going to be a dogfight. The Timberwolves immediately went on a 9-0 run in overtime, and a 9-0 run in overtime is basically a dagger right there. I don't care how much time is left in the period. You go on basically a 10-0 run, almost double digits to nothing with a 5-minute period in the first minute and a half. You basically have the game won. The Nuggets then follow it up after a couple huge threes. Tim Hardaway Jr., Jamal Murray banging out, and then the Nuggets in return go on an 11-2 run. Back and forth, one of the best back and forth performances. Anthony Edwards, of course, an amazing player. I don't want to hear anybody that doesn't have respect for Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards and Nikola Jokic combined for 100 points last night, and it sucks because Anthony Edwards ended up having to leave the game, got double-teched right away, messed with an inbound pass. You could really see the frustration getting to him, and then the Nuggets capitalize on that with 2 technical free throws. Anthony Edwards out of the game. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the Nikola Jokic era, when we look back on it in 20 years, we're going to think about the best games he's ever had and the best opponents he's had. I like to think that this is the best rivalry in the NBA. And with big rivalry games, happening on Christmas Day, we get a bit of a glimpse into what the playoffs could be. With 3 of the starters out, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray leading the charge, is there anybody that can beat this team in the playoffs if they play like that on any given night? I mean, we watched them do it on Christmas Day. Why couldn't they do it in the playoffs?
If they're healthy, they're going to be a tough out, right? I mean, the Thunder are a great team. They won the title last year, and the Nuggets with, basically 5 guys for most of the series. And then in game 7, they were down to about 3.5, still took the eventual champs to 7 games. I think if the Nuggets are healthy, it's going to be tough for anybody to beat them. Oklahoma City's a great team. The Rockets will be a tough out. But, give me in a 7-game series, and you got to beat Nikola Jokic and company 4 times, give me the Nuggets against anybody, whether they have home court advantage or not. I really think we're looking at it, we're about to turn the calendar to 2026. You got a football team that's got a chance to have a parade, a basketball team that's got a chance to have a parade, and a hockey team that really should. Like, it'll be a stunner if the Avs don't win the cup. So, but no, the Nuggets are as good as anybody. And, they got to get through this stretch until Christian Brown comes back, Aaron Gordon comes back. Hopefully that's right after the new year. And then you get Cam back. But no, when healthy, they're as good as anybody in the NBA.
I love it. It's exciting to watch. Great day yesterday. I could not think of a better Christmas. And I'll also just throw out, I'm from Minnesota, watching the Vikings and Max Brosmer lead the charge over Detroit. That was a fun game to watch, but great Christmas day. Broncos controlling their own destiny still. Next week will be the biggest game of the season, the biggest game arguably of the past 10 years. And the Nuggets continue to steamroll. Avalanche, of course, don't even have to mention how great they are, because they, again, like you said, just need to do what they do, and they'll win the Stanley Cup this season. But James, thank you so much for joining. Great Christmas. Thank you to everybody who stayed and watched. Merry Christmas to you all. Happy holidays. I will see you guys all on Monday. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Bye, y'all.